Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this morning we are studying Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 32, verses 1 to 6, 7, 1 to 7, and the verse assigned is number 6. So maybe everybody can take turn to read just the translation from 1 to 7, and then we'll go back to number 6 to do it responsibly.
Chapter 32, Entanglement in Fruitive Activities. Text 1. The personality of Godhead said, the person who lives in the center of household life derives material benefits by performing religious rituals, and thereby he fulfills his desire for economic development and sense gratification. Again and again, he acts the same.
Such persons are ever bereft of devotional service due to being too attached to sense gratification, and therefore, although they perform various kinds of sacrifices and take great vows to satisfy the demigods and forefathers, they are not interested in Krishna consciousness, devotional service.
Such materialistic persons, attracted by sense gratification and devoted to the forefathers and demigods, can be elevated to the moon, where they can attract, where they drink an extract of the soma plant. They again return to this planet.
All the planets of the materialistic persons, including all the heavenly planets, such as the moon, are vanquished when the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, goes to his bed of serpents, which is known as Anatta Sesa.
Those who are intelligent and are of purified consciousness are completely satisfied in Krishna consciousness. Freed from the modes of material nature, they do not act for sense gratification. Rather, since they are situated in their own occupational duties, they act as one and is expected to act.
By executing one's occupational duties, acting with detachment and without a sense of proprietorship or false egoism, one is posted in one's constitutional position by dint of complete purification of consciousness, and by thus executing so-called material duties, he can easily enter into the kingdom of God.
Thank you. So, 6. Nivritti dharma nirata nirmama nirhankakrita nira swadharmaptena satvena parishuddhena cetasa nivritti dharma nirata nirmama nirahankritaha swadharmaptena satvena parishuddhena cetasa.
Nivritti dharma nirata.
Nivritti dharma nirata. Nirmama nirahankrita. Swadharmaptena satvena parishuddhena cetasa. Nivritti dharma nirata nirmama nirahankrita swadharmaptena satvena parishuddhena chetasa. Come on, others should try. Nivritti dharma nirata nirmama nirahankrita swadharmaptena satvena parishuddhena chetasa. Nivritti dharma nirata nirmama nirahankrita swadharmaptena satvena parishuddhena chetasa. Else, newcomers, please try. Nivritti dharma nirata nirmama nirahankrita swadharmaptena satvena parishuddhena chetasa. So word to word, nivritti dharma, in religious activities for detachment. Nirataha, constantly engaged. Nirmamaha, without a sense of proprietorship. Nirahankritaha, without false egoism. Swadharma, by one's own occupational duties. Aptena, executed. Satvena, by goodness. Parishuddhena, completely purified. Chetasa, by consciousness. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. By executing one's occupational duties, acting with detachment and without a sense of proprietorship or false egoism, one is posted in one's constitutional position by dint of complete purification of consciousness. And by thus executing so-called material duties, he can easily enter into the kingdom of God. Report. Here, the word nivritti dharma nirata means constantly engaging in executing religious activities for detachment. There are two kinds of religious performances. One is called pravritti dharma, which means the religious activities performed by the griha medis for elevation to higher planets or for economic prosperities, the final aim of which is sense gratification. Every one of us who has come to this material world has the sense of overlordship. This is called pravritti. But the opposite type of religious performance, which is called nivritti, is to act for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Engaged in devotional service in Krishna consciousness, one has no proprietorship claim, nor is one situated in the false egoism of thinking that he is God or the master. He always thinks himself the servant. That is the process of purifying consciousness. With pure consciousness only can one enter in the kingdom of God. Materialistic persons in their elevated condition can enter any one of the planets within this material world, but all are subjected to dissolution over and over again. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachari. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Jnana Prasya Spasana Krishna 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 Hare Rama Vancha Kalpa So who is talking to who in this verses? Does anybody remember who is talking to who? Yes, Prabhu.
Is Kapila still speaking to his mother, or have we done?
No, that's exactly what's happening. Kapila Dev, the son, Supreme Personality of God, is talking to his mother. And she apparently asked a question in maybe a chapter before, or maybe before that, I don't remember, but she asked specifically about fruitive activities because she wanted to be free from fruitive activities. So here we see that in this verse and the 7 verses we were assigned today, there is talking about sense gratification. So anybody would like to say what is sense gratification? What does sense gratification mean?
It's acting on the impulse of your senses to
To do what?
to get some temporary enjoyment.
To get enjoyment. Okay. So what's wrong with sense gratification? I mean, we're hearing that the aim of life should not be sense gratification. Krishna has given us senses, yeah? We have these different senses, sense of touch, sense of smell, sense of seeing. We have all these senses. What's wrong with gratifying your senses? He has given them to us to gratify them, I'm assuming. Yes, Nita.
Gratifying the senses isn't the problem, but gratifying them the wrong way or temporary way, that is what is being discouraged. Senses can still be gratified, but in a better or higher way, which is beneficial for the owner of the senses.
But so you can gratify them for a short amount of time. So why not gratify them without Krishna being there? Yes.
Because we're not the enjoyer.
Because we're not enjoying.
Krishna is the ultimate enjoyer.
Okay. Yes, back there.
Gratifying your senses can form a attachment to your body and to material world.
Okay. All are very good answers. Thank you. Yes, Ruth?
Because the end result of endlessly gratifying your senses seems to lead to masochism.
Seems to be what?
Lead to masochism.
Could you explain that?
Basically in a society where people have like endless sense gratification, it warps what they want, so they start hurting themselves because they desire to hurt themselves.
Okay.
Because they're not the enjoyer.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your wonderful answers. Nita has to say something more.
We can hope to gratify our senses, but it doesn't exactly work that way, that we keep continuing to do that. It's not the side of the story.
Thank you. Thank you. Adipurush, can you give a mic to her?
Well, I guess the most basic answer is one gets entangled and one forgets his real goal in life.
Okay. One gets entangled and one forgets one's real duty. Yes, Shruti Sagar.
One thing I was thinking here on a practical level, if one over gratifies the senses, then the senses become weaker and actually leads to a point where you can't gratify it. So if you actually do want to gratify it for a long time, you don't do it, you don't overdo it. Actually be sustainable.
I like Shruti's answer the best. You want to gratify your senses, but you know, if you have lots of money, you want to make sure you spend a little bit at a time, yeah? Yes, Ruth.
Well, sense gratification, I guess means breaking the 4 regular principles, basically. And it actually gives us the exact opposite results of what we're looking for. We're doing these things to make us happy, but it actually gives us the exact opposite result.
So sense gratification gives you the opposite results to what we are wanting.
Right.
Yeah.
We do those things because we think they're going to make us happy, but they actually give us the exact opposite result.
Thank you. Yes, Govinda Prabhu.
I was remembering it leads to hellish conditions of life.
Wow. Wow. We're getting very So yes, all of you are very intelligent people. Well, I'll tell you a story, an historical fact that is given in the Srimad Bhagavatam about a person, about a king. Now, I guess this king didn't know all of you that you know. You're smart. So, but this king, he was a very great king, and he was married. He got married. I won't get into the story of how he got married, but he got married, had a beautiful wife and everything, and he upsetted his wife. That doesn't take too long for a man, for a woman to get upset. So she got upset, and so what happened was that she was so upset that she decided that she was going to, in her emotional state, she went to her father and basically told her father that, he upsetted me. And so the father was, he was very attached to his daughter. And that's why the daughter went to the father, because she knew that if she tells anything to her father, he'll take care of it. So the father said, no problem, I'll take care of it. So the husband who came after the wife, because she was running, actually what describes that, she was running to her father's place, and the king was running after her and, trying to pacify her, even like he massaged her feet. And I mean, here's the king, and he's trying to pacify the wife, and he's massaging her feet and everything, but she's really upset, and she goes to her father, and then the father says to his son-in-law, for what you have done and upsetted my wife because you were being untruthful. You promised her something and you broke your promise, and so I'm going to curse you. He was a Brahmin, and so they have powers. The Brahmins have powers. So he said, I'm going to curse you. I'm going to take away your youth and give you old age. Now he was a young king. Can you imagine if somebody cursed you and made you old? How would you feel? Upset. Yeah. Really upset. Why would that make you upset?
Because I wouldn't be like an elevated person.
So this is a real devotee answer. because you're feeling that you won't have the wisdom to all that the time can give you wisdom. And all of a sudden you're an old man and you don't have the wisdom what you would like to have. Yes, Prabhu. You can't get your youth back once it's gone. So yeah, that's a concern. But what if so okay, so basically what happened was that the king said, oh, you can't do that to me. I'm a young man, and I haven't even enjoyed life, because at a young age you can enjoy life. So many things you can enjoy. Ask an old person what happens when you get old. It's hard to eat any. You can't enjoy your prasadam even. Your body doesn't digest. You can't see properly. You can't hear properly. I mean, so many things happen when a person getting old. Is that right, Prabhu? Not that you're an old man, but life gets hard. And so when the king begged his father-in-law, please don't do that. So he said, well, I already uttered the curse, so you're going to get old. But if somebody is willing to give back your old age in exchange with their youth, then you can have that. In other words, you can ask anybody to exchange their youth with your old age. So apparently, Prabhu, it seems like you could maybe get back your youth depending on whoever has the potency. So here's the Brahmin had the potency. So the king said, fair enough. Sounds like a good idea. I have got few sons and I'll go and ask them. So he goes and asks his oldest son. And the oldest son said, you know, if I'm young and if I don't go through the process of enjoying my senses, then I will not be able to become detached. Something similar to what you were saying, that I need to go through my life and experience enjoyment so that eventually I can be detached. It's different than what you were saying, but something too similar. So he didn't want to give his youth to his father. Then he went to his other two sons, and they said, "No, sorry, Dad. You know, their conception was that once I give my youth, then I will never get my youth back." So basically, they said no. So he went to his youngest son, and so the youngest son said, "Sure, Dad, I'll give you my youth. That is my duty as a son, is to do whatever the father wants. So you can have my youth, and I will take your old age." The king was happy. You can imagine. You can really imagine how happy he was. The sad part is he even told his son, he said, I haven't enjoyed my senses. I haven't enjoyed the amount of sexual enjoyment that I want in my life, as a young person, as a young man. He's telling his son that. It's just like, it's pitiable when you want to enjoy something, what you can do. Just this aspect here, just to hear that he was willing to ask. I would say, just say he stooped so low to ask his son to take his old age and give his youth. It's almost like when you want to gratify your senses, you will do anything, even going and asking your son to do something like that. Anyway, so this king, whose name was King Yayati, he was very happy, and he enjoyed his senses like anything. And he enjoyed that for 1,000 years. These are celestial years. So we only live for 100 years. So for 1,000 celestial years, he enjoyed his life. Actually, I don't know if it was celestial years. Maybe this was in another yuga and it is in the earthly planet. So I could be wrong. Anyway, so after 1,000 years, this is what had happened to him. He says, he realizes that he is not feeling satisfied. Somebody was saying that no matter how much you satisfy your senses, they never get satisfied. And that is the problem. I was asking while I was thinking about this class, I was asking Sesha Prabhu, I said, what's wrong with sense gratification? And he doesn't say too many words, so he just said one word: cheating. Cheating. Like, okay, cheating. He says, yes, it's actually sense gratification is cheating you. It's cheating you. It comes in a certain form, and you think it's going to be this. How do you feel if somebody cheats you? You feel like it's very upsetting. It's almost like you feel angry. How dare you cheat me? So sense gratification is like that. It presents itself in a certain way, but totally it's opposite. Do you know what? I don't know what it's called. I was thinking about in Hindi, patkari. Patkari, you know patkari? No? It's alum. Do you know the word in English? ALUM. Pitkari. And the English word is alum. Yeah. And sugar candy. I don't know if you know what sugar candy looks like. But sugar candy and this alum looks the same. They both look like small little white crystals. And so they look the same, but they're totally opposite. The sugar candy is nice, and probably you can even put an image of ALUM, alum, and sugar candy, rock candy. And you see the image of them. They look exactly the same, but it's totally opposite. Sugar candy is sweet, and alum is sour. How would you describe it? It being sour taste or whatever. Yeah, they look exactly the same. Although in the more pure state or unground state, they look like little pieces of candy, rock candy. Anyway, no, no. Anyway, they look the same. And so if we go to a store and we ask for sugar candy and they give you alum, not good. You know, not if you're going to make sweet rice and you put some alum in there. No, it's not good. So that's what sense gratification is cheating. It's I've written a note here. Sense gratification is a fascinating path to frustration. This is by Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. He writes that sense gratification is a fascinating path to frustration. We touch things, we hear things, we smell things, and we think this is going to be really satisfy us, but unfortunately it doesn't. In Bhagavad Gita in 5:22, Bhagavad Gita, our real manual to life, it says that an intelligent person does not take part in the sources of misery, which are due to contact with the material senses. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and an end, so the wise man does not delight in them. And another verse that is very, very good that helps you to understand more what sense gratification, how is a cheating. It's a cheating religion, sense gratification. It's a religion. Most of the people believe in sense gratification like a religion. So in Bhagavad Gita, it says that happiness which is derived from contact of the senses with their objects and which appears like nectar at first, but poison at the end, is said to be the nature of passion. So that's what sense gratification is. We look at things we want to enjoy, and initially they're very enjoyable. It's to gratify your senses. It's fun. Huh? You feel happy. I mean, it's so nice. But what happens to you later on? That's what the problem is. So it's nectar initially and poison in the end. Whereas doing something good, whether going to school or the process of Krishna consciousness or whatever, it seems like poison in the start, but actually it's nectar in the end. It's nectar in the end. And so what it looks, it's different. Secondly, one of the, I think maybe you were mentioning Gopal Prabhu, but it's very limited. Initially, for example, even if you, for example, if you like a sweet, okay, let's say I love rasgullas, and so yes, you're gonna make me some. I love rasgullas, and so if I eat a rasgulla, oh my God, especially it's juicy, sweet, cold, and you put it in your mouth, it's so nice. You have one, you have the second one, you have the third one. After the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, forget it. I don't want to see it. It's limited. The same rasgulla that was giving me happiness, maybe Nita, you can have 20 of them and then start feeling. What's that? Govinda, you love rasgullas? How many can you have before you start feeling? Yeah, there's a limit to sense gratification. You enjoy, there's limit. So that's one thing, there's a limit to it. Our senses cannot. And then another way to see sense gratification is no matter how much you pour, it's like a fire. No matter how much you pour in the fire, how much wood you keep on pouring, it can consume it all. So isn't that interesting, the contrast, the example that is given, that how there's a limit and how it's also compared to a fire, that you can have unlimited sense gratification. Seems like contrary, but it's so true. But basically what King Yayati was feeling, he was not feeling satisfied. It's not like he got it and he feels satisfied. Okay, so today I might feel like, okay, I can only have 6 of them or something. But tomorrow I'm ready to have again. And then the day after I'm going to be ready to have again. It's unlimited. So the fact is that this is some of the problems that with sense gratification. So does that mean a devotee does not enjoy? Are we as devotees don't enjoy life? I'll tell you a verse. It's one of my favorite verse, and I think I've said that before here. Listen to this very carefully, so you feel happy. You don't have to feel morose that you can't have sense gratification. Thus, Swayambhuva Manu, which is the greatest king emperor of the earthly planet or universe. Thus, Swayambhuva Manu was a saintly king. Although absorbed in material happiness, he was not dragged to the lowest grade of life, for he always enjoyed, listen to this, for he always enjoyed his material happiness in a Krishna conscious atmosphere. He always enjoyed his material happiness in a Krishna conscious atmosphere. What does that mean? He enjoyed material happiness in a Krishna conscious atmosphere. Enjoyed with the devotees. So his material happiness. Yes. Prasadam. Yes. He had prasadam in the association of devotees. You had a hand there, back there? Yes, I was saying offered. Yeah. So we have so much sense gratification. Yeah. That's how he enjoyed his material happiness. There's one verse that describes how he enjoyed. Emperor Swayambhuva Manu enjoyed life with his wife and subjects and fulfilled his desires without being disturbed by unwanted principles contrary to the process of religion. What does that mean for us? It means we fulfill our desires without being disturbed by breaking the 4 regulative principles. Yeah? Celestial musicians and their wives sang in chorus about the pure reputation of the emperor, and early in the morning, every day. It was a custom that the singers would praise the emperor for all his activities that he did. So that's gratification. Somebody's praising you, glorifying you. So that's what he was, that was his life. He ruled and he did that. But what he used to do early in the morning, every day, he used to listen to the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead with a loving heart. So for us as practitioners of Krishna consciousness, trying to be devotees, trying to get rid of not being attracted to sense gratification, we don't have to be morose. It is something that we do, but like all of you already know, that we keep Krishna in the center of our lives. Keep Krishna in the center of our lives and we can enjoy. I always ask, what is a party? What does a party consist of? Any kind of party. I'm not talking about Krishna conscious party. Dancing? Beer. Beer, okay. That is Amrita, Charnamrita, yeah. Music and food. and good company. And what is the Lord Chaitanya has given us? Singing. Hey, you forgot singing. You said dancing, but singing. Everybody loves to sing. When they're happy, when people drink, what they do. Yeah, exactly. So singing, dancing, eating, feasting, having good association, and we don't restrict that just confined here in the four walls. We go and sing and dance out there in the public. I mean, that's crazy, yeah? People would consider somebody crazy. They go out and sing and dance in public. I mean, those people are crazy. The only people who would sing and dance like that out in the public are who? Besides crazy Hare Krishna people. Who else would do that? Narcissists? Okay. Homeless people. And who else? Drunkards. I was thinking about drunkards, yeah. But yeah, all of them would do that. Drunkards, yeah. So yes, we have the highest sense gratification. And it never gets boring. It never gets boring. Prasadam never gets boring. Maybe the digestion doesn't allow to have, but still you can have nice prasadam, simple prasadam, in the association of souls that you love. That's the nicest thing that Srila Prabhupada has given us, some nice association. So yeah. So it describes in Srimad Bhagavatam what kind of people take to this process of Krishna consciousness. Can anybody think what kind of people don't take the process of sense gratification, but take the process of Krishna consciousness and gratify their senses that way? What is one adjective that is described in the Bhagavatam for such people? Distress? Well, that's right. Distress people take to, yes, from the Bhagavad Gita, we hear 4 kinds of people take to this process of, 4 kinds of people come to take shelter of Krishna. So one is distressed, and other 3 are inquisitive, seeking material gain. Yeah, and one in knowledge. Yeah. Now, this is in Bhagavad Gita, 4 kinds of people approach Krishna. But Bhagavatam describes one kind of person who actually takes to this process of what Gaurnitai have given us. And it describes is the intelligent people. This is a famous verse from the Bhagavatam. Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishnam Sango Pangashtra Parshadam Yagya Sankirtanai Praya Yajantihi Sumedhasa. In this age of Kali, people who are endowed with sufficient intelligence. So did you realize you all have sufficient intelligence? Yeah? It says people who are endowed with sufficient intelligence will worship the Lord, who is accompanied by his associates by performance of Sankirtan Yagya. The word here is said Sumedhasa. Medhasa means one that have good brain substance. Sumedhasa, very good brain substance. So it's amazing that we see actually so many pastimes in the Bhagavatam where it took a long time for people to come to the understanding that we need to give up sense gratification and take to the path of Krishna consciousness. There's so many examples. Can anybody else think of some other examples in the Bhagavatam where such a thing is described? description. The question is, what other pastimes do we have in the Bhagavatam that describes that how people got frustrated and then took to Krishna consciousness? Dhruva. Yes. Say that. Yes. Yes. Narada Muni. Okay. They, this is I'm specifically looking for, just like King Yayati, frustration. There is the prostitute Isla. Yeah. That she was a prostitute and she was kept on like thinking the customers coming to her doorstep, and she's looking and waiting for customers to come, and then she feels so frustrated, and she finally comes to the realization, what am I thinking? And she comes to the process to the realization of detachment. Or there is another story I thought about was King Pururava, who was attached to his wife Urvasi. And I don't know if you remember that pastime. He also got very frustrated because in that case also his wife left him. And so he was so, depressed and everything. And then there's a whole long story with that too. And then he realizes, he comes to the understanding that, what am I doing? What I'm trying to gratify my senses, and so basically he feels frustrated and comes to the realization that this is not the path. And so we see great kings and others who come to that realization. So it's actually very fortunate that all of us here as young people, we came and taking to this Krishna consciousness, hearing about this at very young age. And probably you have all different reasons why you took to the process of Krishna consciousness. Anybody would like to give me in one line what brought them to Krishna consciousness? Was it frustration, or was it in need of something, or nobody wants to share? One line? Yes? Depression. So if you felt depressed, there's nothing in this life. What is the purpose of life? She took to a knowledge that she herself knows and took to it. Anybody else? Yes?
Association.
Association. So you got in good association. So it's such a smart thing. You got in good association and you say, okay, this is the right thing to do. Excellent. Yes, Nita. It's just seeing what reality of world is. Again, association. So this is we're so fortunate that we are taking to this path of Krishna consciousness, and now our only goal is that we stick to this path of Krishna consciousness, no matter what kind of situation we are in, always to have good association and keep to this process of chanting, dancing, feasting, and what else? Chanting and what? Singing, dancing, and feasting. Jai, Haribol. Any questions? Yes, Govinda Prabhu. Yes.
I think the older son's answer seemed like it was wise, because it feels like sense enjoyment. It's a razor's edge, and it has to be balanced, because I feel like at least just I'm thinking from his answer that you have to enjoy, and then at the end of your life you feel like, okay, I've done it, and you can focus more on Krishna. But I feel like if you enjoy too much, then you'll be too attached. But if you enjoy just enough, then you say, I've done it and I've seen it, and it's easier to focus on Krishna at the end of your life. Is that true? or
Well, we see that yes, a balance is required. That's a very important point that you said, that a balance is required. Whether it can work, that we think that I'll just enjoy a little bit, I'll just balance it, whether that works, I don't know. Yeah, yeah. And not only that, another thing is that Srila Prabhupada said you don't need to get sick to feel good. So it's not that we need to enjoy our senses to become detached, so to speak. So again, so what you're saying is good, but then these are some of the things that we need to think about. And therefore, in such situation, we have to know where we're at, coming to the point of we have to know, let's say I'm a brahmachari and I think I can't stay as a brahmachari. I realize that I need to get married. Okay, so there's a process. Not that you think I have to remain brahmachari and I can't do this and I can't get married. No, there's a process. So Prabhupada says then there's a regulated process. So in that sense, what you're saying, that how we approach the subject matter is to do things in a regulated way. And regulation helps you to do things. You're doing it almost not as a duty, but almost in a detached way. For example, just a simple thing like taking prasadam, yeah? So our understanding is that Srila Prabhupada mentioned that we take simple prasadam during the week, and then once a week at the Sunday, we have Sunday feast. So in that way, you're in a regulated way, you're having your feast, but other days you have simple prasadam. So regulation helps from gratifying your senses. Yes, Adi Purushottam.
I wanted to share something with Bhakti Maharaj said. He's a PhD in biology and he's very smart. Whenever he gives class, he likes to give a metaphysical explanation to devotees to understand on a gross level why we do such subtle things. And he was talking about dopamine system, sense enjoyment. And dopamine is a chemical in your brain that makes you feel happy. It's a happy chemical. And he said in the 1950s, there were two scientists that made an experiment with dopamine. And they put electrodes in a rat's brain, right with the dopamine systems. And they gave the rat a button so she could press on it and feel immediate kick. And then the same system engages when somebody eats something sweet or has a sex enjoyment. So the same system. So the poor rat pressed that button 5,000 times, I think, in an hour until it died. And then in the 70s, they tried it with people because that was a big thing. Oh, hey, we solve all the problems. Everybody will be so happy. And they tried giving those people the buttons. And they would press it like, 1,500 times, 2,000 times in 3 hours. But all of them reported feeling completely depressed, broken up, and just dull dead. Because when the dopamine system Krishna gave us is a reward mechanism for doing some good austerity, for doing something good. That's a reward system. And when it's been misused, it leads to terrible things. And he asked the same question that you asked. He asked the devotees, so we enjoy, so what's so bad about it? And the devotees were given different answers. But he narrowed it down. He said, what happens to the heart of that person? He said, it becomes very hard.
Becomes very
hard. That's where you get the narcissists, killers, because they enjoy so much. At some point, they will step over people's lives. They're unable to feel people's pain. So we have to be really careful with that system.
Thank you. Thank you. An eye-opener. Yes, Prabhu.
Why is it that the same mind that tells us to go get what we want in order to enjoy is the same mind that tells us, dang, why did I do that later? Can't it just make up its freaking mind?
That's actually what the mind does. That's its duty. It's its function of the mind is to accept, reject. Bhoga Tyaga. That mind is doing what it's meant to do. You can't blame the mind, because that's what, by definition, that's what the mind does. Bhoga Tyaga, accept, reject. And therefore, it's the intelligence above the mind has to be sharp. And above the intelligence is the soul. And so the soul is that where the desires come from. And so when we have the right, correct desire in the association of the right people, then our intelligence will work in such a way to listen to the mind that is the right thing for it to do. So that you have to have the proper intelligence. And that's how where the spiritual master comes or other devotees come, and they can guide us. So we're not oscillating with our mind going back and forth. Jai Shisha Gornitai, and I think we're running out of time now. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Bhagavad Gita